of hardcore football. I like the fact that I feel good. Probably the most important thing I do is hire the coaches that work with our players and personnel. And I like the edge that our team has. The first day of practice, I went out there and I had to go like, well, wait a minute, we don't have any pads on, guys. Easy, So they got a little edge about them, and I think they're a veteran bunch, and I like the maturity of our team.
This is your 6th year at ASU. How do you think you evolved as a coach from year 1 to year 6?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a great question. What I would tell you is that's probably the reason why you get knocked on your can, because we didn't evolve in I think the recent years, and that's something that we spent a lot of time looking at. I think we were doing, you go back, and the key to winning a championship is to play in championship defense and being able to run the football and obviously score points. We've been pretty good at scoring points. We're second in the league in the last 5 years, almost 37 points a game, so we're going to score points. We got to get back to taking care of the football. We got to eliminate the negative plays. That's the biggest two things on offense. On defense, obviously, with the big plays. That's why I brought Coach Bennett in. When we were 13, we went to the championship. We really had a unique system. And then people start studying what you're doing, and you have to constantly evolve. And so that's something that I think is critical to being successful. And that's we spent a lot of time, I think, in that process, evolving and adapting. Because what happens is each year the players change, and boy, it's hard to change something you've been successful with. And so, you have to evolve and you have to adapt. And I think that's where we had some injuries. So in the scheme that we were doing, we went from 1s to 3s. That doesn't mean we had bad personnel. We needed to change what we were doing. And so that's something that we've really spent a lot of time on adapting. And I think that's probably one of the most critical things in a very, very highly competitive league with a lot of parity. You've got to adapt and evolve. But we know the formula. There's a very definitive formula for winning. And it's very simple. It's owning the football. It's dominating the line of scrimmage and run game, and score more than the other team.
You can be a pretty
navigating the logistics of this week with having to start practice, come here, and all that.
Well, we had obviously we were able to practice yesterday. Had to leave a little bit early, and then flying over here for I don't know whatever reason it took 20 minutes longer than usual, and it's been a little frantic, but don't worry about things I can't control. So not a big deal.
Todd, you have some intensity on the field, and Phil Bennett really seems to have an edge about him. And
Phil does?
Yeah, Michael Slater also tends to have a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's something that's going to help your players?
I think that our motto this year is Sun Devil Tough, and when I came here today, I can't keep thinking about Coach Cush and that every single Sun Devil you talk to, it's about being tough. And tough people come out of tough times. And one of the things we went back and evaluated and assessed is how hard we had played when we were competing for championships. And so that's something that our guys are teachers. We're going to treat our guys with great respect. But we're going, tough people come out of tough times, and this is a tough physical sport, and we got to get back to running the ball and playing with speed, physicality, and to finish every play with a passion. So that's what you see. I think you see guys like Rob Sale and Slater and Bennett and Rob Lycan. Every guy we got on our staff are guys that are very passionate about what they're doing. They're all great teachers as well.
Coach, you guys missed Christian Sam last year.
The most under-asked question that it was huge, because I think anybody that watches us practice knows, one, how good a football player he is, but just where we were from a depth standpoint. We had some young guys that weren't really ready, and if we, even though we had a veteran in there, if he would have been healthy, I think for the most part it would have been DJ and Christian, and so that hurt us tremendously. A guy's very talented and got a lot of experience, and we've got to stay healthy, and part of that's been our training. That's one of the things I'm excited about our new facility, is from a nutritional standpoint, we've gone from I think the bottom to the top, and how we can take care of our players as far as how we feed them, how we can maintain and be on the cutting edge from a nutritional standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint, an injury prevention standpoint, as far as our strength room. Anybody that's been in there, you can see is going to have a huge impact. And it doesn't have an impact while you're showing pictures of it. It has an impact once you get it. And the great thing, what we did, wasn't trying to put a lot of the, elaborate things. It was integrating technology-wise. It is on the cutting edge. It's very innovative from a teaching standpoint. So, and then from a training standpoint, it's on the cutting edge. You look at the underwater treadmill and the things, zero gravity treadmill. Those things that we have now, we just didn't have before. That's going to help us tremendously. Keep our guys healthy, train them, and teach them.
These themes that you've been discussing today, toughness, running the ball, playing hard, did the Territorial Cup results drive that home for you, or were you already thinking along those lines leading into the end?
No. We assessed the entire season, entire year, and what we were doing, and we just, my whole deal it's easy to assess other people, and so it's all self-evaluation, and every year's a new year. No, I don't spend any time. We do that in January. When we get done in January, we put that behind us and you go to the next deal. Basically got knocked on our can. You can sit around and make every excuse for it. Nobody cares you had injuries. Nobody cares about any of that. I'll tell you what you can do something about is the next rep, the next day, the next practice, the next game. So that's been our approach. But this is not something that anybody that's been around our program knows. That's who we are. But we obviously got knocked on our can from that, and you got to get back up and get those things reestablished. And I got a lot of confidence we're going to do that, because I've been very, very pleased with our coaching and the training that we put in, and then the edge that these guys have. I'm looking forward to watching this team. Anytime you have that kind of investment from your players, not just on the times that are required, but everything, these guys have invested. I've not had a team that's invested more than this team has from a work standpoint and from a toughness standpoint, as far as the rigor of what they've done. And usually when you have that kind of investment, you get pretty good returns.
Coach, a lot of people have been talking for years about Arizona State just being a sleeping giant, football-wise, and I'm sure it's one of the reasons that you took the job. What's it really going to take to change that, to become that giant?
We've done it. I mean, we've been to the championship in 13. We've had success. And success sometimes is hard. The key, what you're talking about, is sustaining it. And so the whole deal is being able to be consistent. I think one of the things is it's going to impact us moving forward, is having a state-of-the-art training and teaching facility, because we got a very definitive plan to how to be a consistent winner in the Pac-12. And we talk about our 4 values: character, smart, discipline, tough. And in that order, because each one produces the next one. And so now you can put those things in place, and we've worked hard to do those things with what we've had. But the key is, now we're going to have an opportunity, I think, to improve our ability to recruit, improve our ability to develop and teach, and improve our ability to train our players. So I think that's going to be big. And then, the big thing is just getting it down the field, man. You've been playing a lot of close football games. You got to win them, and that's why you got to have the discipline that it takes. And we think our plan is unique to who we are and what we're about. So that's there's no magical solution, man. It just takes a lot of work, and you got to stay. It's so competitive, and the difference between winning and losing is so small. You got to stay on the edge and on the cutting edge on a lot of things. And so I really just feel like I know from a focus standpoint, eliminating the distractions, I know just for me, it's different.
How do you expect J.J. Wilson to contribute this year?
J.J. is one of the most talented guys we have. He's grown, I think, from a maturity standpoint tremendously. He's a guy that I think's benefited from the culture of the program, and a guy that is really talented. He's stronger, faster, and I think more mentally mature. So he's a guy I think's going to play a big role in what we're doing.
Can you tell us
Been really proud of his. Been really proud of his development.
Well, and then what's the status of Brady White too?
Brady's a guy that was a very, very traumatic injury. So Liz Frank injury, and so it's basically a 12-month recovery. And so I think, it happened at the end of October, I think 1st of November. So he has not been released medically, and I don't look for that to happen at least for a while. And so hopefully, we'll get him back this year. But right now, I think that's just a day-to-day deal. I've been really proud of him. He will make it back. He's done a tremendous job. He's worked hard, showed unbelievable courage. He's a special young man. A guy that was a 4.0 in the classroom, and I see him every day, and I try to encourage him. I say, "Hey, man, and a lot of undefeated quarterbacks." He's 1-0, so we're anxious to get him back. And you know what? And he could get back sooner than later. But it's just, I want to be very smart about his recovery, because it's very, very important that he's full speed before he gets going. So, and it's been hard for him to see the other two guys compete and not being able to do that because you're injured. But no doubt in my mind, he'll be competing when he gets back, because he has all the intangibles to be a great quarterback.
Can you tell us about those two quarterbacks? Can you tell us a little bit about those two quarterbacks that are competing for the job?
The guys, they've elevated each other. I've enjoyed watching the competition probably as much as I've ever enjoyed any competition. What's been really neat is to watch them elevate each other, and it's a fierce competition. It's created kind of that atmosphere on our whole team. So it's been a cool deal. Yes, sir.
The new rule change obviously impacted you. You guys started practice already. What do you think overall of the elimination of two-a-days?
Well, I just rather, you probably listen to me talk about hardcore toughness and discipline and all that stuff. You probably know how I feel about that. But on the same hand, whatever the rules are, I respect the rules, and we're going to go by the rules. And also, too, I do think that they made them for the right reason, because of the well-being of our student athletes. In saying that, we also we're reporting a week and a half early. So we're taking a week and a half. Usually they're home with their families, so that's different. Obviously took a week and a half out of our preparation. So, could there have been a better solution? I don't know, probably, especially planning, so you didn't have, the things but that's kind of how things come down. But don't really, worry about things I can't control. But one thing I do believe is that I love this game. This game's such an important game. And it's also a physical game. It's a contact sport. And you need to be able to teach it to play it safely. And so that's one of the things that's important. We've taken the head completely out of tackling and to teach that rugby style tackling. It takes time to do that. And I even watched from the NFL to college, just tackling and all the fundamental. It's really, you can tell the impact, and you just need to have time to teach those things. And I think we can do it. I think it's a good thing that they're looking at the things, the well-being of our players. I'm always for that. That's first and foremost with our guys. But a lot of the practices we put in place, we really didn't have a full-blown two-a-day. It was, the afternoon was more of a passing type deal, and so we'll see how it works. But you got recruiting going all the way to the end of June next year on official visits, and then if you report the last week of July, man, that's a pretty short window for players and for coaches to have breaks. So I hope they'll look at that too.
Some of your players said that they did more conditioning work outside this year as opposed to in the Dickey Dome. Was that part of the strategy that you guys had, or was that on them doing that on their own?
A lot of it just, anytime we have a heat warning or whatever, we're going inside. Probably had a lot to do with the weather pattern. And was things harder by design? Yeah, they were. I think, and I think they took that upon themselves as well. But we wanted to return to our blue collar mentality, just like what we do on offense and defense. We want the core values of what we believe. We want to get reestablished, and that all starts with investment, and it starts with work ethic. But anytime, you know how it is. If it gets really hot, you know, we're gonna be smart and go inside. But we'll spend. I think that was some by design, and some we had some mild temperatures.
You talk about the high degree of investment happening even before the facility was built. Now that the facility is built, do you see that degree of investment even kicking up a few more notches?
I don't think you benefit by showing kids a picture. You know, and two, you got to understand, our building was built for teaching and development and training, and I think it's the best facility. I've looked all over the country, and there's not one that I believe that is better than our facility for teaching and training and innovation as far as the technology piece of it. And so that, as we have that, now you'll start seeing the benefits, and I do think it's going to have a dramatic benefit. You can watch how it'll impact recruiting just by watching our existing players walk into the building, and how it just speaks volumes about the commitment that you have to be successful. And the fact that our donors and the support it shows great support. That we have great support and championship caliber support. So I think moving forward, it'll pay its dividends.
Todd, would you like to redshirt Dylan Sterling Cole, given that he played last year?
Yeah, if he's not, obviously playing, then that's something that I think that we'd be smart to do.
How much did it gnaw at you just not being able to run the ball or have that physicality in that way offensively the last couple of years?
Really, we look backward in January, and there's a lot more than that. Some of the most miserable things I've ever experienced, I experienced last year. So I've moved on from that, and but on the same hand, I'm 100% accountable for everything. So we've moved forward, and I think we're assured a different place than we were last year.
Last year, you toyed with the idea of playing Chase Lucas. Do you feel like he's ready this year to play?
I think Coach feels like he's developing. I think he's a guy that's gotten really matured. He's got to continue to improve. But yeah, he's a guy that's competing to play.
What about the speed that you have on this team on offense in particular? Is that a different dynamic than
I think
you've
from
had?
a personnel standpoint, we're top to bottom skill wise. You look at our receivers and our running back core. As good as we've been, speed wise, talent wise, quarterback position, receiver position, running back position. I like the veterans up front. We got a lot of guys with a lot of experience up front. There's a lot of competition, we eliminate the negatives, take care of the football, and we can do some good things there.
Kalen Ballard is one of the most unique talents coming back in the conference this year with that size and speed. How much can you utilize?
Well, we spend a lot of time, in researching that. And one of the things we've talked to Kalen about is being a guy who play 80 plays a game. And not him and DeMario will play together a lot. I think you got to put your best personnel on the field. So both those guys have great hands. And one of the things with Kalen, he is really a dynamic receiver. He can really do some things out of the backfield, and really even as a slot receiver. And so DeMario, as well as Nick Ralston, we think Nick has positioned himself where he's. We got three guys that are really solid. Then you got Eno Benjamin coming in, and Traylon Smith is looking very good. And we think Justin Brimhall. Justin's a guy that is kind of this. You can sleep on a guy that's got a lot of ability, and so we're very deep and diverse in our talents at running back, and we spend a lot of time researching how we can get Kalen the football in different ways, and really utilizing the talent that we have at those two positions. So we'll play a lot, I think, with two backs on the field.
Has JoJo, he was a second-team all-conference player last year. You brought him here. Is he poised to continue to blossom, or what do you?
I think so. I think you can see that by the respect of his players electing him captain, and I think that's a big deal. And he's, being a leader. That's what I tell him. It's not about giving a speech.
All right, we've got a 2-minute warning for Arizona State. 2 minutes remaining with
really
Arizona
maturing.
State.
and just one of the finest kids I've ever coached. But he's not reached his potential. He's got a lot more room to grow, and I think he's doing that.
What makes him one of the finest kids you've ever coached?
He's he's explosive. He's powerful. He's a very instinctive player, and he's a guy who can play every snap. He's a guy that very seldom you have to rotate somebody else in there. And so he's a guy that's extremely durable. Probably one of the hardest practicers I've ever been around. And so he's pretty talented. He's just really gifted with an explosive power. You know, and he's a guy that really can move down inside, and I think could be even more disruptive. So he's a really versatile player.
Lester, you anytime your offense stalled, you could send Zane out there and just go ahead and mark it down. I know you have a talented kicker that you brought in, but there's an adjustment going from the best kicker in the country to a freshman.
Let me tell you, 2 days, all I'll tell you is, wow, he's pretty good. I don't think he's missed a field goal, and he kicks them high and very deep. I think he's going to be a great weapon for us. We just had, a really good kicker, all right? And, being able to kick the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs is huge, and then scoring points. And I'm not saying, I don't want put too much on Brandon, but he's been impressive. He is a very, very talented young man. And I kind of like his demeanor, even like the other day. So what's interesting is that he kind of has the kind of, it's like this is no big deal kind of mentality. I kind of like that. Zane was like that. Like he was not. Nothing was. It wasn't too big for him. So just from a raw talent standpoint, that's what having players like that do, is that you can attract guys like Brandon. And so I really think that obviously the poise and the maturity of a senior like Zane is hard to replace, but I was pleased. I was very pleased in the first couple of days. So we'll see how that goes, but I do think we've got an extremely talented young man.